Population attributable fraction. So then, other names to start with. It is also called population attributable risk in percent or par percent. You can use either or. They normally differentiate them between par and PAF, but par percent is just as valid. Most people will understand what you're talking about there. Anyway, what is it? PAF. The proportion of all cases in the population that may be attributed to the exposure, assuming there is a relationship. So then, here is the calculation. It is just it is R minus R naught divided by R. That's all it is, or par divided by R. Now then, let's put that into an example. We've got our cholera table that you should be familiar with. We make the risks there, we get the total, plug in the R minus R naught divided by R, color code them, plug in the numbers. 0.07 minus 0.04 divided by 0.07. That gives us 0.432. We need to make it a percent because it's a fraction or a proportion. This makes 43%. But what does this mean? Well, this means that 43% of the total population's cases were attributed to the exposure. And that's all it means. 43% of the total population's cases were attributed to the exposure. Now, just a reminder, again, if the R1 or the exposure reduces the risk or rate to the outcome, then you need to be using the par equals R minus R1 divided by R. Otherwise, if you do it the normal way, then you're going to be getting negative numbers, and that may completely throw you off. But you need to go and make careful. Well, you need to take care as to what you define as R0 and R1, because normally R1 is the thing that you're actually looking at. Is this affecting this, or how much is this affecting this? That's normally what R1 is. Anyway, so I'm going to use a population attributable fraction with rates, because you haven't really seen very many rates, just to prove that you can do it. So, we have our example with non-manual workers and manual workers, and we've got cholera cases again, and we've got rates. We've got total person years and new cholera cases. So, what is the question? The proportion of the 99 cases that may be attributed to the exposure, e.g. manual working. Now then, we've got our R minus R naught, etc., and yada yada yada, but you really need to take careful consideration as to what to label as the R naught and R1. Now, in this case, we are looking at, the manual workers. That's our question. So they're at risk of, or they're the exposed to their manual working, so they are our R1. So we add them as such. So then, we plug in the numbers. Our par is 0.0666. Plug it over here, add our 0.0838. That gives us 0.79. Make it a percent because it's a fraction, a proportion. So the risk group, or the R1, was responsible for 79% of the outcome. Is that correct? No, it is not. You should be really careful on how you state your conclusions here. 79% of the total population's cases were attributed to the exposure. Now, really take care on this and try and use because it's attributable fraction, use the word attributed. Or the exposure to manual working was responsible for 79% of the cholera cases in the total population. Yeah, again, iffy. Manual working as a risk group was attributed to 79% of the total population's cases. That's a better way of just stating something like this, and you really need to be absolutely careful, seriously careful about how you discuss your findings like this. So that is population attributable fraction in percent.